Say hello to democracy!
How did Helldivers 2 get so popular?
Whoa, this game is good.
I think it has a real chance to win Game of the Year in 2024.
No one saw this game coming, and it beat out Titans month after month.
Helldivers 2 is a wake-up call.
Right now, it is the #1 top seller on Steam and has 330,000 concurrent players on PC.
It's incredible that Helldivers 2 sold 12+ million copies, but what's more amazing is the game escaped death twice.
Injury? What injury?
But what we indie devs need to understand is that all this Helldivers mania started with just a trailer. And this trailer just grabbed people. Arrowhead completely committed to an over-the-top comedic satirical tone, calling players to join the last line of offense and to
dispense peace with the ultimate weaponry.
Comedy is incredibly effective in marketing. It relaxes people, it's memorable, and most importantly, it's shareable. It's why most Super Bowl commercials try to be funny and why my favorite ad is about shipping furniture.
Ship my pants, you're kidding. You can ship your pants right here.
So thanks to comedy, the Helldivers trailer went viral, with humans ready to spread democracy for Super Earth. But trailers alone don't propel games to the stars and across the galaxy. Awareness is just the tip of the iceberg. This hilarious trailer from Kmart didn't save the company from going bankrupt. Virality doesn't just translate to success or sales. To be successful, we need to fulfill the promises we make in our trailers. And when players dropped into Helldivers 2, they noticed something. The trailer wasn't the only thing that was funny. The game itself had people laughing. So the game fulfilled its first promise of being comedic. On top of it being funny, the trailers made the gameplay look fun. Dropping in, completing objectives, and fighting off bugs with your crew looked like a blast. And unlike so many game trailers, the gameplay was as fun as promised. If not more, with all the crazy things you can do. All this mayhem takes the gameplay and just dials it up to 11, but it gets better. Helldivers isn't just fun and funny. It's explosive, cinematic, even epic. You feel like you're in the trailer itself or you're in Starship Troopers. But what's amazing, there's still so much more going on with this game. Many popular titles deliver on what they show in their trailers, making the game they promise to make, while some don't. Battlefield. Helldivers 2 doesn't just deliver, it over-delivers, giving you something deeper than you expected. And that something started with Malevelon Creek. Now, Malevelon Creek, aka Robot Vietnam, is a planet where trees speak binary and Helldivers go to their graves. And in the early days of the game, the planet was lost. Documentaries and trailers were made about the fight with personal stories and memorabilia to commemorate the battle. After the loss, players rallied behind one another to take back the planets against the automatons. Daily, players updated the community on their war efforts, discussing strategies to take back planets liberated or lost.
Data archive. Day 46 marks what is likely the most eventful day so far in this war.
New enemies started to appear, but crazy enough, news of these enemies didn't come from the developers or an in-game announcement. It came from the players. Helldivers on the ground seeing them for the first time and passing the message to others. The developers actually denied it was happening. This is one of the 3 deeper reasons why Helldivers 2 is so successful. Number 1, the community. Outsiders, including me, kept seeing this insane stuff going on in the community, and you just had to know, what the hell is Malevelon Creek?
Well, gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
What does this mean with arrows mean, and who is this Joel person that everyone keeps talking about? So when people saw what this game had to offer, they enlisted.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
Hundreds of thousands of people joined the fight for democracy. But there was a huge problem. Many of them couldn't join. All these soldiers were more than Arrowhead servers could handle, and the team was scrambling to keep up with demand. Queue times appeared with players stuck on infinite loading screens. In-game functions ceased to function under the stress of demand. Negative reviews began pouring in, with many players opting for a refund. Ironically, the surge in popularity was the thing damaging it. So the team leapt into action. While fixing the issue, the Arrowhead CEO advised players to hold off on buying the game before they upgraded everything, to ensure their experience was a good one. Within the chaos, as the community eagerly looked on, teams scrambled to fix the issue. Finally, the announcement came. The player capacity was increased to 700,000, then again to 800,000. This ensured they would never have this problem again. Players rejoiced, and the developers breathed a sigh of relief. It was tough, but the team got through it, and the game continued to grow, passing one peak after another, to over 450,000 concurrent players on Steam, not to mention the thousands on PlayStation. Arrowhead weathered a massive storm and avoided their first death, but this was nothing. The storm of the decade was slowly approaching. But during the calm before the second storm, what kept people so hooked on Helldivers? An engaged community can't be the only reason Helldivers 2 had 200,000 plus players every single day. The second deeper reason Helldivers 2 was so successful was because they did something better than any other live service games. They made the game truly live.
It's alive!
You see, unlike other live service games, Helldivers 2 doesn't just add new stuff to buy or announce a new season when they push out changes. What makes the game so special is the world itself changes and you don't see it coming. At one point in the game, Super Earth completely conquered the automatons, and you literally couldn't play against them for a while, but then something happened. The real automaton fleet appeared and a huge previously conquered stretch of the galaxy was taken. Suddenly, everyone was rallying together to take back the planets in the reclamation. These events, these moments are more than a game releasing a new season, map, or new missions. It's so much bigger. You can't just go back to Malevelon Creek and relive the experience. It's liberated. It's gone. That experience of losing and retaking the planet is unique to those players. And these special moments for players are constantly happening. All because of one thing. Each player has impact. Every time you complete a mission, you contribute to a larger goal of taking back a planet. Even if that change is very small, it's important because altogether, players make a big difference. Sometimes you succeed, and other times, a major order has failed, and the enemy slowly creeps closer to Super Earth. The best part, it was revealed sometime after launch that there's one person behind the scenes orchestrating everything, and that's where Joel comes in. Helldivers 2 is what we call a squad shooter, but secretly, it's also D&D. All the players and Joel create stories together, and I've never seen anything like this. You legitimately feel like it's a living, breathing world, at least breathing video game world, and it's a place where players have impact and are dictating what is happening on a galactic scale.
Realism is fun. I go play games to have fun. And so we had to come up with some notion of what fun was. We knew it was an ad hoc definition, and it was the degrees to which the game recognizes and responded to the player's choices and actions, right? You know, in behavioral science, you would say we're explicitly talking about what were reinforcers and what the reinforcement schedules were. To me, I was trying to convey to the user a sense of, yes, you were making choices, yes, you were progressing, which meant the game had to acknowledge that back to you.
That, alongside the over-the-top satire and style of the game, creates a sense of duty and hurrah. You feel like a band of brothers in space, taking planets bit by bit. But planet spots or bugs wouldn't be the biggest challenge for Super Earth. The storm was coming, and Helldivers were about to face their biggest threat yet. A threat that could destroy the game altogether. When Helldivers 2 first came out and PC players booted up the game, they were initially prompted, but not required, to make a PlayStation Network account. So naturally, most players skipped the sign up and moved on. But months later, the PlayStation Network reared its ugly head and it couldn't be skipped. So Sony released an announcement which would permanently change the course of Helldivers 2, stating, due to technical issues at the launch of Helldivers 2, we allowed the linking requirements for Steam accounts to a PlayStation Network account to be temporarily optional. As of May 6th, all new Helldivers 2 players on Steam will be required to connect their Steam account to a PlayStation Network account. Terribly wordy, but at a glance, this doesn't sound too bad, and isn't that uncommon for Steam games. But this was different. For one, despite Sony insisting this is for upholding the values and safety and security, because they are notorious for their consistent data breach.
Security? Sony's infrastructure is like the least secure on the planet. I'd rather link my account to a known crypto scammer.
The real issue comes from their terms of service. While Steam is available in most countries, PSN, or PlayStation Network, is not. All these players from these listed countries here saw Helldivers 2 removed. Much of the globe, along with thousands of fans, are about to lose access to the game, out of nowhere. And kind of for no reason. The crazy part, this was a revised change to Sony's terms of service.
And if you go to the FAQ on PlayStation's own website, they would say signing into PSN is optional when playing a PlayStation game on PC. They have since changed this FAQ when they made this update today, and that's why people are not happy.
Saying that people were upset is an understatement. In an instant, the success of Helldivers 2 began to plummet. People no longer looked at Helldivers 2 with intrigue, but with apathy and disappointment. killing most of the momentum. The response from the community was pretty simple. We all dive together, or we don't dive at all. Propaganda and calls to arms were shared, but not in-game this time, in the real world. The message? Tank the reviews. And in the span of only 3 days, the reviews score went from very positive to mixed, all the way down to overwhelmingly negative. This was one of the biggest review bombs in history. In 72 hours, Helldivers 2 received over 200,000 negative reviews. Sony was bombarded with complaints, and people were lobbying this out-of-touch publisher to revert their decision. Arrowhead, once again, went into crisis mode, but this time, it was kind of out of their control. And they too petitioned Sony to revert their decision. But during all this negativity, something incredible was taking place. Helldivers 2 is all about players working together against a common foe. And to them, this was just another day in the office, just another major order. And like most major orders, this one was completed promptly, with Sony releasing a statement just a few days after, basically stating, Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback, we're not going to be moving forward with this terrible decision. Players were thrilled. They beat Sony, this huge conglomerate, huge company. Almost immediately, the review scores changed. They began to rise, from going from super negative back towards positive. Permanent damage had been done, and some issues still plagued the game, but somehow democracy had been restored. What we need to understand is that Helldivers 2 isn't just a game. It's an experience that is satirical, comedic, over-the-top, cinematic, and everything else in between. If you leave the combat zone, you're labeled a traitor and receive a bombardment from your own ship. You'll see propaganda and news reports within your own destroyer. From the marketing material to the voice acting to the tiny bits of text in the lobby. Everything small and large reinforces that experience, which makes it so easy to be swept up by it all, and why the game got shared all over the internet. These little things are what create an identity. And identity or brand, however you want to look at it, cannot be replicated. Other companies might be able to imitate the model of Helldivers, but they can't copy the identity or the emotion, the feelings, the stories. All of this is critical to a game's virality. Players getting more than what they expected, which causes them to then share what they love and even fight for it, as we've seen. If we as indie devs truly want our games to pop off, we need to not only fulfill our promises in our trailers, but we need to go above and beyond. Broadly speaking, people only share their experiences, or games, if it's terrible or it's amazing. If you're on a plane and the door flies off, that gets talked about. If you're on a plane and they give out gifts, have great food, or just provide such an extraordinary experience, that gets talked about. But if you have a safe flight with nothing special happening, that's what was promised. So you don't talk about it. It's the same with games. You need to over-deliver on your promises. From the outside looking in, it's easy to ask, how did this game succeed? But when you're knee-deep experiencing the global camaraderie and pure, unadulterated freedom of being a Helldiver, absolutely no doubt about it, nothing was going to stop democracy from being spread when Arrowhead over-delivers again and again. Which is why Helldivers 2 sold 12+ million copies. As a social gamer, I love co-op games, so titles like Helldivers are an easy sell for me. Which is also why my indie studio, Realm Break Games, is officially announcing our co-op action game. It's been a long time coming. In Fallen Worlds, you'll battle endlessly across different planets as a ragtag team in hopes of one day destroying the god that took everything from you. We have been working on this game for years, and starting today, we are looking for some alpha testers so we can really push the game to the next steps. Specifically, we are looking for 50 testers, and if you're interested, come join the Realm Break Games Discord link below, or just check out our Steam page. Appreciate the support. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.